Thank you very much and good morning. How are you? You all right? I brought a chair with me today. It's not because I'm tired already, but this is a chair designed by Arne Jacobsen in the last century. But this is not just a chair. This is so much more than a chair. It's design objects like this who have formed, businesses and export for this nation for the last 5-6 decades. And objects like this, and especially this one, has been one of the major drivers in a fantastic marketing exercise, branding a whole nation, and that's called Danish modern. So for about 5 to 8 years, I've been thinking, I have this question, that why is it that we, the designers, are so focused on designing for the 1% of the world's population? I utterly believe that we should start thinking about designing for the 99%. And while we're doing that, we'll get some really cool ideas, we'll get some insights, and we'll get some innovation going, because we, the 1%, have to move ourselves from where we are into shaping a future that is a lot more sustainable than the one we have today. So you could say, should we rely in the future on designing objects like this? Will they give meaning to our life in the future? Or should we maybe start designing products and services that will make and give us meaning in our future? You all know that we have some challenges, problems, difficulties in the way we run planet Earth. And if we continue like we're doing right now, we have the problem that we are spending 3 planets Earth. And you all know in here that we just have one. So we need to change. We need to do something. We need to, take a mind shift, because we need to find out how we're using our resources. We need to find out, how do we feed the world? So you could say, is the future about designing this? Or should we design a future where we can use chairs? And to be honest, we have a little bit of urgency, so we need to start today. What will the future be? Will it be gray and dull? And I have to say, no, I can't do that, I can't do that. I don't think so. If we come up with a vision for the future and start shaping that future, we will have a fantastic, enthusiastic future where I will have fun. I will have time to play. I will have even champagne. I will have time for my family. I can kiss my friends. And at the same time, I will have time to actually develop the society I'm a part of. I call that the ecological age. It's a future where we have a balance between the environment and us. So when I'm talking all this about designing, I'm not just talking about the people like me who comes out of an art school or design school. No, that is way too dangerous to leave it to us, because we end up in products like this. No, I'm talking about creative people. I'm talking about people with a creative intelligence. I'm talking about astrophysics, doctors, lawyers, even accountants, marketing people, housefraus, kids, you and I. We are the one who should start shaping that future, who should start finding out what is it we can do to change things a little bit, so we'll start moving forward, start thinking about the future. And when we're talking about design, there's so many definitions of design, and sometimes you get really confused. I have a very good friend called John Heskett, and he's sort of the Nestor of design, and he puts it, very, very sort of simple and smart. So he's saying that design is the human capacity to shape and make our environments in ways that satisfies our needs and give meaning to our lives. That is so simple. We can all buy into this. We can all be a part of it. And we can all start today. And you don't have to be a designer with a capital D. You can just get on with it. So when I was designing the metro for the Copenhagen city here, it was in 1995. And we knew it was going to open 7 years later. So when we were designing, we were constantly talking about What is it that, what will the future be? What will the future be for the travelers? And remember, there was no smartphones. The internet was just peeping around, So we're thinking about how could we design these stations so they would accommodate the future. And by working in these, projects, I found out if I sort of had 3 worlds that was overlapping, it was a lot easier for me to think about the future and start forming and shaping my future with my friends. And so I found out if I was working with the now, the new, and the next. So the now is today, and the new is what will be in 5, 10, 15 years. And then we have the next, and the next is what is going to happen in 20, 30, 40 years. And to be honest, sometimes it's a little bit scary to think about, what will happen, in 30 years. But, by doing this, you could sort of move yourself from one world to the other world. So if we start with the now is about today, and I think we all found out that there's technology is sneaking in everywhere, which is okay. You don't see it because you're living in it. And the cool thing about the future, by the way, is that we're all going to live in it. That's really, I think, the coolest thing about it. So, but I think what is important today is that you start thinking about, what you're doing and how you do it. Is it something you can change? Why is it when I go down and I want to buy 1 lemon, I have to buy 3 and they have to be wrapped in plastic? Why is it we're still walking around with a plastic bottled water and we have enough tap water, and the tap water is actually better than the water you buy in the bottles? Why is it we still use energy So we have to think about, if we start now, if we start talking, if we start designing small things together, then we can start, making awareness. And that's the first thing. When we have the awareness, then we can start move. And when we do small things, that will be like ripple in a pond, and it will be big. So let's go into the new. Can be a lot of things. But I think there's 2 things that's quite important in the new. And it's all about waste. We have quite a problem about our waste. And according to the Environment Policy Agency, then you and I produces each 1 ton of waste every year. And I haven't calculated industrial waste. It's just you and me. That's quite a lot. And we have to stop it. Because we're using too many resources to produce waste. We have problems what to do with. We use water for it, a lot of garbage, and what do we do with it? So we have to we have to change it. We have to actually find out how do we go from 1 ton to almost 0. So you could say the next big hip material in the new, that will be waste. So then we say, okay, we have this waste problem, but also for years we've been talking about recycling. And I think to everybody, recycling, that's okay. We probably do that, and we're very happy about it. But that is not going to work in the future. We have to step it up. We have to go up to something called upcycling. And upcycling is about taking a product and move it back into production with a higher value. And in that way, we can take our waste and we can move it in and give it a higher value. So there's this really cool designer called Eric de Laurens, and he was looking at the fishing industry, and he found out that they have a waste product called fish scales, tons of it. And they don't know what to do with it, so just throw it out. So he found out if you took all these fish scales that stinks and washed them, and then he dried them and put them under pressure with low heat, what comes out is a thing which is almost like plastic. So what he could do is that he could actually start, producing cups, plates, everything we know as plastic today out of fish scales. So that's just an amazing example on how you actually go from a waste product and then it gives it a higher value so we can buy it and we can, it can get back again and we'll find out how can we reuse his fish scales. So that's the one thing for the new. The second thing is what I call circular economy. And the circular economy is actually based on that, today we dig things up and then we do something and then we throw it out. And the whole idea with the circular economy is that we try to get everything back again. So like the fish scales that come back in a higher value, and if we could do that 4 times with everything we are handling, all the stuff we have, then we're really on the move into a future which was going to look very bright. So circular economy is changing your business dramatically because it's not about selling stuff. It's about selling a service because actually what you produce, that's the asset. And you get the money from the service. And the reason for that is because over the last 100 years, commodity resources have just been falling in price, depending on the war, then it shoots up, and then we have an oil crisis and all these things. But basically just falling slowly until year 2000. And then something happened. It just shoots up. So now the material is worth more than it was 100 years ago. And for your business, if you are producing a washing machine, and it will cost me $100 to produce it, if I just leave it there, if I don't do anything with it, it will be worth $150 next year. So it will be really stupid of me to sell you the bloody washing machine. So what will happen is that, you will not own a washing machine in the future. You will lease it. You will have a contract with someone. And the problem is that today when you buy a washing machine, it will run about 2,000 to 2,200 washes, depending on how much you pay for it, but that's sort of average. And the thing is that in the future, because you don't own it and you have a contract with a guy like me, I will come and I will fix your washing machine when it breaks down. But the really cool thing is that I put a sensor into your washing machine. So I will call you on Tuesday and say, hey, Brian, can I come by your house on Friday and fix your washing machine? And he would say, oh, no, nothing wrong with my washing machine. No, but it will be on Saturday. And just imagine if you are a family with 2 small kids. You have diapers up to your nose. You have washing clothes. And if that machine isn't working, everything is spoiled. Your marriage, everything goes down the drain. So just imagine how easy it will be. They just come and do something, take it away, and then they'll upcycle it, sell it again somewhere, and you'll be happy camper because you didn't even notice they were there. When we start looking into the next, a lot of people will come to you and tell you that we'll get these new gadgets, all kind of gadgets. They can probably cure your diseases. So if you just keep on going for 30 years, there won't be any problem, You'll have an avatar, someone who's taking care of 90% of your daily duties because they are routine. And that robot have learned it very fast, so that will do it. So that means you have more time, to do other things. They can probably go into your brain and they'll just delete Alzheimer's. They delete epilepsy. They can actually take your brain out. They can download it. So, if you have problems with your arms and legs, they'll just move it into a full-body prosthesis, and then you can go on for the next 100 years. And if they have a problem, they just take your brain and they've uploaded it into the sky, so if anything happens, you can just take it down and you're just sort of 10 years behind whatever it is. So that's cool. That's going to be fun. We're going to have jet skis and all these things. But to be honest, to me, that's not the important thing. The important thing is that you and we start designing the future. We start to shape the future. We start to come up with a vision for this future. We need to start designing systems that can be used in the future. And to design systems, the cool thing that in this small country, Denmark, we are really good at designing systems. We've done it, hundreds of times. And one of the fantastic systems we designed is the return bottle deposit system. So when you finished your beer or your Coke or whatever you're drinking, you put the bottle back, go down to the supermarket, give it back to them, get some money, and you don't think about it. So maybe, in a month's time, you'll have your old bottle again. So that's the whole system. And we don't think about it because it's a part of our culture. We just do it. We don't care about this huge system behind it. Because now it's a DNA, it's part of our DNA, it's a part of how we see ourselves, it's a part of our culture. And we need to find out how do we, in the future, make these systems so you and I can do our little bit. So it's not rigid system, it's non-rigid system that will morph depending on how we are developing society. And I can do my little thing, and you can do your little thing, and it will last for 9 months, and then we take it out and put something new in. So that's really what is going to be cool. And if we all go back and just remember what John Heskett was saying, he actually said, everybody can do it. We can start today. We can start forming that future. Maybe you have a crisis. Maybe, we're not happy. But when we start asking these questions, then we can actually start looking, to form and shape this future where we will have fun, where we will play, where we will drink champagne, where we will just have time to our friends, and still working on that society. Have we done it before? Have we been really low and saying, now we need to do something? Yes. 2 years after we were beaten in 1864 by the Prussian army who just defeated Denmark, there were some really nice, creative farmers who sat down and said, I have a problem because I can't sell my butter, I can't sell my milk. And they found out to make a system, how to sell it, how to make slaughterhouses, how to make dairies, how to start building all this agricultural thing that we today are very proud of because it's sold everywhere in the world. So we made up this system called the Co-op. And the Co-op is today a part of our DNA. When we start defining what is Denmark, what is Danes, we always come back to this Co-op. So it's in our DNA. And that was because some creative people started, visioning the future and shaping the future. So when you go to the breaks today, I think you have to start talking to your mates, coming up with these ideas. Maybe they're small ideas, but they'll start the move. So when you come home to your family, you can come up with even wilder ideas. And maybe they're so wild, so you need to wait till the weekend where you meet your buddies. And then you can lift, like 5 or 6 with the ideas. And because you're not just trained as designers, there'll be all kind of people coming with ideas. And then we'll have things going. And to be honest, I think the future is absolutely not about white coffee cups. It's not about a designer chair like this. No, the future is about you and I shaping the future. It's not how the future will be. No, it's how we shape the future. And it is easy to start. You can start now. You just have to be curious, happy. You just have to, look at all the things that piss you off. Rethink and redesign whatever irritates you. Start the juices in the brain to run, When they get running, then you'll come up with bold and fantastic ideas, and you can see how it all unfolds. So what I'm asking you, 650 people in here, the ones on the live feed, start designing like you give a damn. That's the idea we're spreading. Thank you.